Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Sam, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you some Kindle Unlimited book recommendations. I love me a good Kindle Unlimited read. I love them, okay? I've got a little bit of everything here for you. I've got some romances, some thrillers, I've got a historical fiction, and I have a new obsession. We're just gonna go ahead and start with it because you guys, I recently read both of these. So in my June wrap up, I did talk about the first book, and I don't think I accurately described how much I really like these books. And I think it's because I hadn't read book 2 yet, but now I'm like, ooh, this is so good and I desperately need book 3. And I don't know when we're getting it, and it's so sad. But please, if you take no recommendations from this, or just one recommendation from this video, please let it be The Wolf King and the Night Prince by Lauren Palphreyman. I think that's how you say her name. This is, what series are you in? I think the Wolf King, the Night Prince series. I'm not entirely sure the name of the series, which is very much on par for me. I never know name of series and I never write them down. I don't know what's wrong with me. So, oh man, the first book starts out with a bang. Now, let me back up a little bit. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. So this is a fantasy romance series, but it really has that like paranormal feel to it because the heroes, question mark, in here are werewolves. Now, the book opens up with our heroine, Aurora, and she is a princess, and her father has betrothed her to this terrible, terrible man, and they are currently at his court, and she's about to, be married, and she's just absolutely miserable. And her fiance he likes to capture werewolves for sport, and he keeps them in cages, and he makes them fight to the death against each other. And so she sees who we come to know as Callum going into the match with this 16-year-old boy, just a very young boy, and she knows like he is going to kill him, and this is not fair. This is not a fair fight. So she ends up stopping the fight, but not before the young boy he's actually injured a little bit, and then she ends up going to the cages to make sure that he is okay. And that is where she starts talking to Callum, and later Callum ends up breaking out. He kidnaps Aurora and takes her back to the Northlands where he is from. And you've got her trying to figure out like what is going on, but also she's just so happy to be away from her father and away from her betrothed because they were just terrible, treated her like absolute crap. And so she's falling in love with Callum, but then also there's another alpha werewolf named Blake. And he is, think like your dark, broody Rhysand type of character. And in the first book, you don't really get a whole ton from him, but you're like, okay, who are you? And I really like you. And then you do get more of him in the Night Prince, but we still like, who is she going to pick? Who's she gonna pick? Because really, I mean, both of these men, like, okay, she could go for either one of them. So it's a love triangle, and it is just so freaking entertaining. I flew through book 2. I also flew through this one, but I feel like especially this one, I'm like, okay, yes, I'm in love with this series. So read these, okay? Read these, please. Like, do it now. If you are a fantasy romance lover, a paranormal romance lover, pick this up, okay? I've never really heard anyone talk about this series, and I'm like, oh, where have you been my whole life? Yeah, I'm gonna shut up now because Oh, they're so good, and I could just go on and on about them. But the next book that I am going to recommend is a thriller, and that is On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass. Now, in this book, we are following 3 different women. So we have 3 different perspectives going on here. We have Cora, who thinks her husband is cheating on her. We have Paige, who lost her son to a hit and run, and she is pretty desperate to figure out what actually happened to her son because she thinks it wasn't an accident. Like, who hit him? Why did they run? What is going on? And then we have Georgia is a new mother, and seemingly on the outside, they have her and her husband and their little daughter, I believe, have just this perfect little family going, but she is so scared to leave her house because of some things going on. And the twists and the turns in this book, I didn't see any of them coming, which is a really good thing for thrillers. It definitely kept me on my toes, and you really just come to love these women and the bond that they create together. Even though it's not easy at times for them because of some reveals that happen, it was still just so good in the way that they really took care of each other. I really enjoyed that about this thriller. So if you have not read On a Quiet Street and you like thrillers, pick this one up. Tell me if you like it. I enjoyed it a lot. Now we're going to go into my historical fiction pick, and I actually just finished this, and I've recommended this author before. She's just so good. If you like historical fiction, but you want it to be heavy in the romance, Amy Harmon is your girl, okay? And I just finished Where the Lost Wander. So we are following Naomi, and this is set in 1853, and her family are traveling west on the Overland Trail, which is basically, it's the Oregon Trail. And you're following them along their journeys and the, hardships that they encounter along the way and the different people that they encounter. They are also dealing with indigenous tribes and hostility there because neither one of, the natives, they don't really understand the white men coming in and like what their intentions are. And some of, the white men treated them horribly. And so they just have their guard up for all of them, and they think all of them wish them harm. And Naomi meets a man who is half white, half Pawnee, and his name is John. And it is their love story. It's their romance and their journey to get to California and settle in. And this is just such a beautiful book. And it just covers so much: struggles, hardship, love, grief, and just hope. Everyone on the trail was hopeful. They were hopeful for a new life, hopeful for a better life. So this is really good. I highly recommend, like I said, if you want a historical fiction that is romance as well. Amy Harmon, pick her up. You will love her. And then we have an L.J. Shen book, which I've mentioned before. Me and L.J. Shen, especially recently, we haven't had the best of luck, but I read this one and I was pleasantly surprised, and that is Wildest Dreams. This is book 2 in the Forbidden Love series. We are following Dylan and Ryland. Dylan is Ryland's best friend's little sister. Dylan's brother is also a very successful, very famous chef. So he and his wife are actually out traveling, and I believe they have book 1, which I kind of want to go back and read, but he offers Dylan and her daughter his apartment because she is just they're going through a rough time and he wants to help her out. So she moves into her brother's apartment, and Ryland is her upstairs neighbor. Now, Ryland is known for being a playboy. He doesn't want to settle down. He's not really a serious type of person, and his day job for many, many years has been, he is sort of a male escort, but not his, body physically. He just has very rich women who will pay him to, be his be their date for something or go out to dinner or just a companion. And, you know, they shower him with gifts and money. And so that's how he has been able to really afford his lifestyle. But he doesn't want to do that anymore. So he has been working on a sort of dating app, but it's more along the lines of like if you just need a companion for a night, like to go out to dinner or go to some sort of event, that type of thing. And the man who he has asked to invest, his huge investor, is a family man. And so he convinces Dylan that they're going to play family. Dylan, her daughter, and Ryland. And, you know, like I always say with fake dating, it never stays fake because these two, they've clearly had some feelings for each other. It's been just hidden and buried behind snark and banter, but that attraction has been there. And I really loved Ryland's character. I loved his growth and getting to learn more about him and why he was the way that he was. You know, there was a lot more than met the eye with Ryland, and I really enjoyed him. This was just a really sweet and wholesome romance, but it was still like, it was dirty. It was dirty because LJ Shen, she knows how to write her smut, okay? She truly does. She knows how to write some smut. And the next book that I'm going to talk about is a new release from C.W. Farnsworth, and that is AntiHero. In this book, we are following Collins and Kit. Now, Collins is Kit's older sister's best friend. They were like roommates in college. So Collins and Kit they've been around each other for a little bit. And much like Dylan and Ryland, they have had chemistry and they have had attraction to each other for a long time, but it's just been buried underneath banter and snark. But now Kit is a little bit older and he is going to be the future CEO of Kensington Consolidated, which is his family's company. And he has a lot of weight on his shoulders to carry on, you know, the family name and the family business. And he and Collins meet, I think it's at a wedding one night, something like that. And she ends up spilling a drink on her dress and he invites her back up to his suite to, you know, clean her dress. And one thing leads to another. They end up having sex. And then to complicate matters even more, she's pregnant. But also she finds out that she's pregnant after she accepts a job as Kit's new assistant. So just a lot going on in this book, a lot going on, but I really loved Kit's character. Oh my gosh, he was a goner for Collins. And, you know, I said that they kind of hid their attraction to each other beneath this snarky banter, but he has like been longing and pining for her. Oh my gosh, so much. And so when he is like, you are having my child, I am all in. And the way that he wanted to take care of her, the way that he took up for her with his family, oh, he was perfection. He was perfection. And if you're looking for a surprise pregnancy with a man who's a goner, AntiHero, that's your book to read. Next up, we're going to talk about another thriller, and that is Don't Believe Her by Nicola Sanders. In this book, we are following I believe if I remember correctly, it's 3 different perspectives. We have Ellie, who is engaged to Nick. And then you have Carla, who was Ellie's best friend and Nick's sister. But Carla has actually been missing for quite some time. And the way that she disappeared and sort of the events after her disappearance has always left kind of a weird feeling with Ellie. She's like, something is suspicious here. I don't know what's going on. And she has spent many, many years searching for Carla, her best friend. And she is living with Nick and Carla's mother. And one day Nick comes home and he says, I've hired a private investigator and they've found Carla. And when this woman shows up at the house, Ellie immediately is like, this is not Carla. I don't know where you came from. I don't know where you found her, but I don't trust you and I want you gone. And that's all I'm gonna say, because the twists and turns in this book literally don't stop until like the very last page. It was a wild ride, very entertaining read, just a popcorn thriller that you will fly through. Really enjoyed this one. And then the last book that I am going to recommend to you is Sins of Sevin by Penelope Ward. This is a bit of a forbidden romance. We are following Sevin and Evangeline. Now, both Sevin and Evangeline come from very, very conservative, very strict religious families. And at the beginning of this book, Sevin's father actually dies. And his dying wish was to see his son do better. Sevin kind of pushed against all the rules and everything that were set up by his father and stepmother. And so they think to sort of combat that and get him in line, they're going to marry him off to one of their friends' daughter, and he's going to go work for them. And when he gets to this town, he, is driving, and he gets to town and his truck ends up breaking down. And there's a girl on the side of the road riding her bike, and she stops and helps him. And he immediately has a connection with her. And he's like, who are you? And then when he finally makes it to the house of this family that he is going to now be in, and he meets his fiance, there's not really any kind of spark flying there. And he just keeps thinking about this girl on the bicycle who helped him. And then who does he see? The girl from the bike. She is his fiance's older sister. And so it is them sort of tiptoeing around each other in the situation that they are in, but they cannot stay away. This is full of angst and so much emotion. I really enjoyed this book. Penelope Ward is, I say it all the time, she's such an underrated romance author. I love her. Her books are just, you go into them and it's always a solid read. So if you have not read Penelope Ward, you need to do so. And if you want an angsty, forbidden read, pick up Sins of Sevin. So that is all of the books that I'm going to recommend to you today. Let me know in the comments down below, have you read any of these? If so, what did you think? What is a book that you have read recently on Kindle Unlimited and loved? Let me know, because I'm always looking for new recommendations. If you've made it to this point in the video and you'd like to let me know, leave me a pineapple in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you want more content from me, exclusive content, reading sprints, my Patreon is linked down below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.